Today is a day I've been looking forward to for 10.5 years. Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. One is very fortunate if you get to work on just one of these in your career. Apple's been very fortunate. It's been able to introduce a few of these into the world. In 1984, we introduced the Macintosh. It didn't just change Apple, it changes the whole computer industry. In 2001, we introduced the first iPod. It didn't just change the way we listen to music, it changed the entire music industry. Well, today we're introducing three revolutionary products of this class. The first one is a widescreen iPod with touch controls. The second is a revolutionary mobile phone. And the third is a breakthrough internet communications device. And we are calling this product iPhone. Welcome, guys, to the new, improved, the Apple Guy. And today I'm going to take you back in time to January 9th, 2007, when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone. Let's get into it now. As you guys can see in front of you, I have the 16GB iPhone and a 8GB iPhone, as well as a 4GB in front that's being shown. All these iPhones have been unboxed before, but I will unbox the 8GB and then the 16GB model. So 4GB will sit on top of the nice case and will be presented over on your right hand side. First, let's push the 16GB over here. Let's pop open the 8GB. Now, the iPhone, when it shipped with iOS 1.0. And basically you get the icons that are on the box, which is your text, calendar, photos, camera, YouTube, stocks, maps, weather, clocks, calendar, notes, settings, phone, mail, internet, and iPod. And it ran on 2G, and it had a B and G Wi-Fi antenna. And as of 2017, AT&T and other carriers have shut off its 2G network. So this phone, as of today, as of this year, cannot run on 2G. While it did, it was slow at the time, even now, but it was revolutionary. So let me show you the device itself. Here's my 8GB iPhone inside the box. And we will put this down here. And I just want to let you guys know that this box was not the original one that this phone came in. The original eBay buyer kept the box years ago when I first bought this 8GB. But in this box it has a iPhone booklet, that's a warranty booklet, and a third-party or original cable that would stay in this box. And we are going to push this box over to the right hand side. We're going to take a look at the 8GB device in hand. And as you guys can see, it hasn't really changed that much between the years except look, but it kept the original design at hand. It had a 3.5-inch display that could run up to 386 by 640 pixels, and it had a 163 ppi, pixels per inch, and you only got an accelerometer, no gyroscope, no GPS, and you only got a 2 megapixel camera, fixed focus, and your antennas down here for the 2G and B and G Wi-Fi. And you got your volume up and down, mute switch. Before Apple removed the headphone jack on the iPhone 7, they had a recessed headphone jack on the second generation. Your SIM tray on the top, which is a full-size SIM, and your power button, which powers the device on. And this device is running iOS 3.1.3. All of these devices that I will be showing you are running 3.1.3. As the hardware behind it, it's a Samsung 32-bit Ryzen ARM 11, and it's a 620 megahertz chip, but in the original iPhones, it was underclocked to 412 megahertz. It has 128 megabytes of EDD RAM, and it only came in 4, 8, or 16 gigabyte models. And it has a 1400 milliamp hour lithium ion battery. And to charge it, of course, you use your classic 30 pin that had a speaker on the left and a microphone on the right. So here it is, the original iPhone. And with iOS 3.1.3, you did get some extra apps with it, like the App Store when it came out in iPhone OS 2, and contacts. Otherwise than that, the device stayed true to its name. It was a marvelous device with the ability to include the iPod, the internet, and your phone in one. At the time, people had to use Blackberries and other phones of the sort. As the phone aged over time, they made 10 different iPhones. The 3G, which improved upon this, then the 3GS, 4, 4S, all the way up to the iPhone 7 that we got today. Now, Apple got right the first time was introducing Mac OS as the base operating system. Now, they did have a leak that they did a Acorn OS, which was a iPod Classic interface. Now, that was because the iPod team wanted to use a click wheel instead, but we all know how that turned out. It was better to use the Mac operating system because it was more secure, even though you can still jailbreak into the device, and low power mode features in the background before they introduced that in iOS 10, obviously, and easier developing for apps on the device. So this is the 8 gig model of that series, and here is my 4 gig, and these are all running pretty much the same operating system like I said earlier. So these two will be pushed into the background. And what did you actually get in the box when you purchased your iPhone? And we are going to take a look at what you get in the box with a 16 gigabyte model that you would get with the 4 and 8 gigs as well. This is the 16 gigabyte box. It's the original box that came with this phone I bought on eBay. And what comes in it, of course, here's your 16 gigabyte iPhone sitting on top. After we get her out the box, we're going to put her over here. Here's a plastic tray that holds the iPhones in here, and they don't do that no more, obviously. And when you lift that out, what you get, instruction book first, SIM tray, iPhone literature, and there's something special that came with the iPod Touch first generation and the first generation iPhone, as well as the 3G. That is the microfiber cleaning cloth, and it's labeled iPhone for the iPhones and iPod Touch for the iPod Touch. And you get your fingertips manual as well as giant Apple stickers. So for $5.99 for the 8 gigabyte, $4.99 for the 4, and $6.99 for the 16, it was worth it that Apple put all this stuff in there for those prices. Now, when we get to the stuff that's inside the box, you'll note that it has a charger. Now, in this space, there's supposed to be a 12-watt charger, but it did come with a 10-watt, 10 or 12-watt. But this one is your standard 10-watt charger. Some did come with 12 watts. Here's your iPod dock, which lets you SPDIF out to a speaker and charge at the same time. So you just go like that. Mounts on the device, and obviously when you plug it in, it powers on the device even though it's not connected. Very nice to have. As well as you get your 30 pin to regular USB at the time charging cable, which they still do today even though they promote USB Type-C. And you get your headphones, which these are still wrapped, and these I'm going to keep wrapped up. And these look like the ones that did come with this device. Yes, they are. And they have a little click button here that you would click to play, pause, answer phone calls, and things of that nature. And these accessories will go back in the box for the time being. And when Steve Jobs was introducing the original iPhones, he did also say something that was very cool, in my opinion, that Apple obviously made a accessory that a lot of people like to note today, the Apple Pencil. Now, when it came out, Steve Jobs famously said, "Who wants a stylus? Why would you need one of those in the first place?" He was right. You didn't need a stylus to use any of these iPhones because it had a nice display and your finger was the perfect stylus. And that stayed true all the way up till today, even though the big iPads use a stylus, the Apple Pencil. But when this product came out, it showed that you did not need to use a phone like a BlackBerry with all the keys at the bottom and things of that nature, or a stylus that came with the Palm devices or other devices at the time. Now, when this came out, to let you guys honestly know, I was not old enough to buy one of these. When it was announced on this date back in 2007, I was only 6 years old. And when it was released in June 29th, I was 7 at the time. So I turned 7 in that month. So just to see it grow as I was getting older, now I'm 17, and I finally reached 10 years of the iPhone, and I'm just really happy to see this product grow. And from my knowledge, when these were being made, there was many different prototypes that I read about, and the one that Steve Jobs presented was one of the prototypes that looked just like this, and it had a plastic touchscreen. Now, why did they have plastic touchscreens at the time on these prototype devices? Was that glass was something new to work with in a touchscreen, but Steve Jobs wanted to do that. Why? Because when he had his iPhone in the pocket, and I read about this, he had a dime, 2 dimes, and a set of car keys in his pocket, and they scratched against the screen, and he famously said, "No matter what, I want glass on this display." So he reached out, him and his company reached out to Corning Gorilla Glass at the time and said, "We want to get glass on this device." So they worked really hard to get a touch sensor on this Gorilla Glass in this small form factor for this device. And it took 2.5 years when he started it. It was called Project Purple, and it was essentially the same name. It just had Purple 1, Purple 2 of the devices. And he saw the idea when he wanted to make an iPad. So he wanted to make the phone because you needed a device that had everything in it. And it holds true today with the cloud that they have now, Siri that they introduced in the iPhone 4S, and the skeuomorphic design that he introduced in the original has been dropped since iOS 7. But there are a lot of apps that the original iPhone has that the other ones don't. Like, for instance, you have a YouTube app on each of these devices and the Google Maps app. Ever since iOS 5, I believe, or even iOS 6, they discontinued both of these, never replaced the YouTube app or even updated it, and Google Maps got essentially placed with Apple Maps. So for people that really love this original product, it did have Google apps in it. And an ironic thing, at the time, Steve Jobs did not want a app store on the device because he didn't want third-party developers building for it. I do kind of understand why he would say that at the time, but then he realized it was a good idea because web apps, you always had to go on Safari for those, and that just didn't work out, even though he told developers you can do that. So when iPhone OS 2 came out, that's before they called it iOS, he introduced the App Store, and that gave you other apps and features to download on your devices, and we still have that today. And it was a really turning point when this product came out, because 10 years later, now we have Android to where it's at, the iPhone itself in other places, and it really gives you an idea about the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch, every time I use it, personally, it reminds me of the original iPhone, because it's starting off like this, and then it's getting better year after year in its own way. And Tim Cook said this is going to be the best year yet, because it's the 10th anniversary iPhone, and the iPhone 8 or 7S, as they call it, will be marking the 10 years since this product came out, and it will change the look, design, and everything this year with the product. So it's really been a very nice product to have. If you have an original iPhone, keep it, use it, and just always take care of it, because now they're going to worth a lot of money now. But in the years, you can really see how Apple took this design and tweaked it and refined it, and obviously the box is shrunk in size, and they went to a 5.5 inch display, they went to a 4-inch display, they went from 30 pin to lightning connector, they went from headphone jack on the top to the bottom to now no headphone jack whatsoever. They went from 2G to 3G, and then 4G, and then obviously LTE. They went from 3.5 inches with LCD to this year's models probably going to have an OLED display. So resolution and speed has improved over the years, obviously. Cameras went from this 2 megapixel all the way up to a 12 megapixel shooter with telephoto lens now, and a front facing camera for selfies and FaceTime. So with this product, it's really one that changes the books forever, and I just gotta personally tell you guys, I like it. I love this original iPhone. I wish I could get it working on carrier. I did try another SIM card I had, but didn't work. But they all connect up to the Wi-Fi, so that's good. So I just want to say happy birthday, original iPhone. Thank you guys for watching this video. I plan on making a series called iPhone History, where I can dive more into this. This is just like a little happy birthday for the 10-year anniversary of the phone. If you want to get more information about this, follow me on my Twitter. It's the Apple Guy 99. And check out my website. I will be redoing the website now for my new YouTube name. This is your host, Kyle. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Have fun.